Businesses in the Durban CBD are under threat as protesters go on the rampage, looting stores and blockade roads with burning tyres. And joining me now is SABC News reporter Jayed-Leigh from Durban, where the looting is continuing in the city. Jayed-Leigh, a very good evening to you. Thank you so much for joining us. And I saw earlier on, images of people still on the rampage and looting some shops. What do you see where you are?
Well, a very good evening to you, Simply, and to the viewers back at home. And yes, I am coming to you from Umlazi at Maageketla Mall. If my colleague over there could just pan and show you some of the visuals, Mohlabe, that I'm working with, of the looting that is currently taking place in Piwe. It's absolutely pandemonium. I've seen people carrying away fridges. They have targeted cash crusaders. They have targeted Pick and Pay, Spar. Many people walking away with alcohol as well. The liquor store has also been robbed, and these visuals on your screens right now of people filling their trolleys to the brim, getting as much as they possibly can out of the mall. The police are on the scene. I don't know if you can hear in the far distance, there are rubber bullets being shot, but still the looters are still continuing to flock Maageketla Mall, trying to get as much as they can. We have been stationed here for more than an hour, and there are about 400 people inside this mall. They have lifted up the doors and gone inside. I can't tell you, some have even left behind the goods that they have taken. There has been shoes. I'm just going to step out that shot so that Brad Norman can show you the shoes that have been left behind, hangers, clothing stores that have also been targeted, and these are the scenes on the screens right now. We can't actually say we can't say these aren't say these are protests now, simply. I mean, we need to just call it what it is. This is pure acts of criminality that's currently taking place. Criminals as well as people, opportunistic people trying to loot as much as they can, jumping on the bandwagon of KZN shutdown, trying to also loot and take and vandalize property. I'm going to ask Brad Norman if he can also just pan to some of the stores that we are currently seeing that have been looted. Pick and Pay completely wiped out from where I'm standing. Cash crusaders as well. There has been people who have taken computers. I've seen cell phones lying on the streets as well as the police try and disperse this crowd, Simpiwe.
If the images I see are anything go by, I mean, this is clearly acts of criminality, Jayed-Leigh, because this doesn't look like protest, but dastardly criminal acts. So, and in all the places that we've covered throughout the country where the looting and the protesting is taking place, it does appear that the number of protesters, or the looters as it were, far outweighs and outnumbers the number of police. So where you are in Durban, Jayed-Leigh, is the police contingent proportionate to the number of looters there?
Well, look, police are trying their best. I spoke to the Metro Police spokesperson, Paulse, who has sent an entire deployment here. There's about 60 police officers on the ground trying to contain the situation here. Where we were earlier on, we were crossing from Shell Cross. There was also an incident there where that mall was targeted. And police are trying to do as much as they can. But what you're saying is true, Simply. We can't isolate the two. The looters are taking advantage of the protesters. As it stands right now, and from a journalist point of view, it is just pandemonium. Police have their hands full. From where I have seen and from what I see, these are not protesters. But then again, we can't say that some of them who are not protesters haven't joined in on the looting. Pure acts of criminality. This is what we are seeing on the screens right now. I mean, I'm just going to ask Brad Norman if he can show you this. Fridges that have been taken away. I see a dishwasher also being taken away. And police are inside the mall. They're trying to do as much as they can to try and contain this large group. But there are over 400 people that have flocked in here and are trying to take and carry away as much as possible. It's actually very disappointing to see children also aiding and abetting their parents. I've seen elderly people also taking as much as goods as they can. Groceries, Pick and Pay grocery bags full to the brim. Live visuals coming from Umlazi tonight at Maageketla Mall, Simpiwe.
Jayed-Leigh, the looting live on national television certainly should be a slap in the face for police officers and some of the police chiefs who are watching this on TV. I mean, this can't go on. And quite worryingly is that we heard yesterday the Defence Minister Nosiviwe Mapisa-Nqakula say that the country is not at war, so therefore there's no need for the army's intervention. Clearly, there definitely is a need for the army, don't you think, Jayed-Leigh?
Well, just listening to the Defence Minister yesterday is true. I mean, they made that call not to bring in the army, not to bring in SANDF in KwaZulu-Natal, citing that, the country is not at war. There's no need for this. But I suppose the police do need to be beefed up. If we're looking at these visuals, I mean, there's only so much they can do. They can't fire live ammunition. I mean, what was shocking for me as we're bringing you this rolling coverage on national television, there has been people walking straight past us, looting. So many people don't actually care that they're actually being filmed, carrying away, stealing goods out of a grocery store, stealing goods out of a mall. There's just acts of criminality. People don't care. We don't know if we can actually bridge the divide and say that this is supporters and criminals. I just think that this is just acts of criminality and people are taking advantage of the situation, trying to take advantage of the KZN shutdown movement, trying to take advantage of the Gauteng shutdown movement. But right now, on your screens right now, people carrying away as much as possible. I haven't seen any police on the side of the mall. Most of them are inside trying to contain the situation, evidently not winning. I do know that there are going to be more police deployed here. I don't know if that's going to help the situation, but I'm also told by my colleagues on the ground that there are also other malls that are being hit, and we'll try and see if we can get there some P-way.
Jayed-Leigh, I'm actually cringing as I'm watching the visuals and as the looting unfolds live on national television. But please stay on the line, Jayed-Leigh, because we now cross back to Gauteng, where my colleague Maageketla Mohlabe is standing by. A very good evening to you, Maageketla. Thank you so much for joining us. Where exactly are you and what's happening?
Okay, you've dropped the line, guys.
Hi, Maageketla. Please do indicate if you can hear me. Okay, all right, we have lost Maageketla there. He is here in Gauteng as part of the hashtag Gauteng Shutdown. And we've also seen incidents of looting as well here in Gauteng. But let's now go back to KZN, where my colleague Jayed-Leigh is standing by. Okay, Jayed-Leigh, it's back to you. Please do take us through what exactly is happening there. All right, these are live visuals from Durban, where incidents of criminality is going on. We've seen earlier on people looting refrigerators, washing machines, microwave ovens. It is absolutely, diabolical what's happening there, because this is clearly not, a protest action, but acts of vandalism and acts of criminality. This is in Durban, and we now link to Johannesburg, to my colleague Maageketla Mohlabe, who is standing by on the Gauteng shutdown that is in progress. Maageketla, very good evening to you. Thank you so much for joining us. Do indicate where you are and what's happening.
Yeah, very good evening to you, Simpiwe. We are at the corner of Nugget and Bree Street, downtown Johannesburg, and this is where the whole action has been playing out throughout the evening tonight. And we saw police officers trying to disperse crowds with rubber bullets and tear gas and water cannons in this part of the Johannesburg CBD. And just down there, and that's where some of the tires were actually burning, as well as some of the rocks blocking the roads, and police, of course, trying to actually disperse the crowds. But it looks like since 9 p.m. tonight, amid this curfew that has been extended, we're seeing streets now being cleared. And I can tell you that though the streets are clear of people or any movement of the protesters at this stage in this part of Johannesburg, I can tell you that it looks like in some parts of Johannesburg, the looting continues. We had some of the gunshots ringing out just up where we are, and that's where I'm pointing. Is actually Hillbrow. We actually had some of the gunshots ringing out there, and I suppose police are still having a lot in their hands to actually try and actually move the people or the protesters out of the streets. Earlier on, we actually heard that about 25 people were arrested in Johannesburg as well as Alexandra amid these protests. But we understand that that number might actually be updated in the early hours of the morning, as police are still trying to gather more information with regards to that. We also heard of one police officer who was actually among 3 shot, and we understand he is actually still fighting for his life in hospital. And I can tell you, Simpiwe, just around 6 p.m. when we were on the M2 East and West, when the JMPD officials were trying to redirect traffic to actually take the Heidelberg Road, we actually had several gunshots coming from the GP side of Johannesburg, and I can tell you that those were live ammunition, and that's of course confirmation from some of the police officers whom we were with at that stage. And I can tell you that even in that address by President condemning the acts of criminality that have actually been playing out in both KZN as well as Gauteng, and perhaps just to quote some of what he had to say, saying that let us be clear as a nation that we will not tolerate acts of criminality. Those who are involved in acts of violence will be arrested and prosecuted. He went on to say that those found guilty of breaking the lockdown regulations will receive the stipulated penalty. This will be done without fear or favor. Where we are, streets are cleared. It looks like that message has actually hit home. But it is now up to the police to make sure that the events that we saw last night, downtown Johannesburg as well as Alexandra, do not repeat themselves. But from what we've seen throughout the night up until the 9 p.m. curfew, police were overwhelmed, trying to disperse the crowds with rubber bullets, trying to disperse them with tear gas and water cannons. But the crowds continued growing. We were not safe as well, and we had to actually continue reporting side by side with police officers in order to actually keep safe. But I can tell you that the situation remains calm, but it is tense here in Johannesburg.
All right, Maageketla, I'm going to let you go for now. Thank you so much for that update. That was a reporter, Maageketla Mohlabe, speaking to us live from the Joburg CBD, which has been a hive of activity, well, in terms of the looting and vandalism of property that has been going on. And so much so that even our colleagues earlier on were robbed of equipment as they were capturing the demonstrations that were going on there. This is The Globe on SABC News. We'll have more in a moment.